Position. We're going to do a little bit more breathing, but with the arms elevated. I'm going to take my hands and put them into the stall bars. You could put them on a countertop or on a chair. You just want something to push down into so that you can wrap your scaps around the outside of the armpits. This is nice because I can also hang back into my arms a little bit. But if you don't have something to hold on to like this, just push down into your object. And think about your pelvis reaching away from your hands. I'm going to take some breaths here, making sure that you're relaxing the pelvic floor so you're not gripping. This position is putting length through the lats, and it is putting you in a position to really expand the pelvic floor as well. So just getting into this position and focusing on breath is going to kind of help you stretch from the inside. Keeping the back of the neck long, so not letting the head fall through the arms. And coming up. All right, grab a yoga block and either a mini band or a longer band that you tie into a loop that's about this long. We're going to have palms facing each other with the band between the wrists, and go ahead and grab your block with your elbows and come into this 90-degree position. Reach the elbows out, so we're protracting the scaps. And then think about your wrists moving away from each other. And from here, we're going to maintain this and just do little pulses up, continuing to push out away from you. So go to the height of the position that you were in, and now we're going to hold that and pulse external rotation, or pulling the band apart. For all of these exercises, I'm using 8 to 10 reps. Use what feels good in your body. Okay, right now we're just warming things up. So we're not trying to get super, super fatigued. We're going to go into a plank position, and we're going to use the block. You can be in a full plank, or you could be on a knee plank position. At this point, again, it really doesn't matter so much because I want you to focus more on the movement happening at the scap. And so if it feels too hard in the rest of your body, you may not be able to concentrate in the same way. So you might play around with that. We're going to have one hand on the block and one on the floor. And we want to make sure that the shoulder is stacked up over the wrist, right? So we're not back. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to push into the block and then tap the other hand to the shoulder. And then come back down and relax back to your neutral. So we're going to push up, protract, shift, tap, down, and relax. When I say relax, don't relax all the way. We don't want to collapse, but we don't want to be in that fully protracted position. So again, in this kind of, I don't even know what to call it. It's sort of like a knee push-up position, but my weight is a little more forward. I want to think about getting maximal protraction before I tap. And that's hard for me to do if I'm up on my toes. I always struggle not to look at myself when I'm doing this. And then we'll switch to the other side. It's like I always am checking to make sure I'm like in frame properly, but I can't move that much. Like, I don't know where I think I'm gonna go. If you're hypermobile, take care on your elbows here, because I notice myself doing it, that our rotation doesn't start to go all the way forward in this position. Keep your elbows facing in toward each other, which might feel like it's more work, and it is because you're not hanging in your joint. Right? Hyperextension can feel more supportive, but it's not particularly useful. All right, lose the block, sit back on your heels, widen your knees, stretch the hands forward, wrap the scaps around the outside of the armpits. Take a couple of breaths here. Walk your hands over to the right. Shift your hips a little to the left. Wrap that left scap a little harder. And try to breathe into the back of the left side of the ribs. And then walk your hands over to the left, shift your hips to the right, wrap that right scap, and breathe into the right side of the ribs. And back to center. Go ahead and slide your hands forward. Keep the pelvis lifted. Wrap your scaps and push into the ground, so resist the ground. And think about lifting the sternum in opposition to the sits bones reaching back. Staying elevated here, not sinking down into the floor. And curl the pelvis and come back to seated on your heels. All right, we're gonna do some rotation. And we're gonna lie on the side with your back toward a wall. My feet are gonna go through the stall bars to the wall. This is just the easiest wall for me to access. I might show it from the other side as well so that you can see better. But we're gonna take the bottom knee, that knee is gonna come in front of the pelvis, and my top foot is gonna come into the wall. And I just lost my blanket. Okay. So here it's into the wall. So from this position, it might be a little hard to see. So I'll show it from the other side as well. But this elbow is pushing into the floor. I'm gonna keep my pelvis on the floor, and all I'm gonna do is my other hand is gonna reach on the floor and slide out in opposition to my foot pushing into the wall. So I'm going to show it from over here as well. So my foot is on the wall, this knee is in front of my hip, shoulder, elbow under my shoulder, and then I'm reaching here. And you can see my upper back is spiraling toward the floor while I'm keeping the pelvis fixed in this position. And then let's switch to the other side. Make sure you're pushing into the wall in opposition to the arm reaching. And this reach could be more directly out in front of you, or it could be more at an angle. It depends on the amount of thoracic rotation you have available to you. All right. Grab a weight. I'm using a 10-pound weight because my weights have disappeared from this room. So don't take that as an indication of the weight that you should use. It just appears to be the lightest weight I have available to me at the moment. So lying on your back, we're going to focus on that protraction. So start with the shoulder completely on the ground in this hook lying position. Think about your ribs moving back into the floor, but don't change the position of the pelvis, right? The pelvis is going to respond to ribs pulling back, and that's okay, but don't curl the pelvis. So here we're going to protract, so lift up without letting the shoulder blade dump forward, right? So you can think about this as the shoulder blade sliding down your back, but then protracting from there, which is going to be a much smaller movement. So keep that shoulder blade plugged down and push up at the same time, pulsing up. Inhale on the down and exhale on the up, which is going to help compress the rib cage and help the ribs move back slightly as you protract. And then we'll switch to the other side. Again, starting with the ribs back. Shoulder blade down and pulsing up. This is way too heavy for me right now, but I'm making it work. If you notice that you start to do a movement like this and you're like, God, I have the shakes so bad, what the hell is happening? That's your nervous system speaking to you that it's either not used to doing a movement, so it's not sure how to organize around it, or you're at a range of motion that your body doesn't spend a lot of time in. This isn't the case in this one, but if I were to take this weight overhead, it might be the case. For me, it's more that I'm trying to do a really small little thing, and all of the other muscles are trying to step in and help, and because of that, it creates this confusion. Okay, let's grab your bench or your ball. So I already know 10 pounds is going to be too heavy. So I'm going to try to find something to hold onto that is not a weight. Okay, so we're going to come into a position where we feel supported on the ball, on the chest. So this is kind of that same position we were in earlier. And we're going to start with one arm out to the side in a 90-degree position. My other hand is just pushing into the floor here. If you were more elevated on a bench, you could wrap it underneath the bench for a little more stability. Here I'm going to push into the ground to create more tension through the left side of my body. So I'm going to let my arm come into internal rotation, and then I'm going to pull it back up. Here, pull it up. I'm not trying to max out my internal rotation. I'm just going to where it stops naturally, and then pulling to as far as I can go without compensating other places in the body. And you might be using like a 3-pound weight, maybe a 5-pound weight. Definitely no need for any more than that. Goal is to keep that elbow in the exact same place the whole time. Switching to the other side. All right.